Yeah, this is my studies and presentation of 55. And the title is The Acceptance and Usage Intention of the Smart Devices in Korea. And the main contents of my study include the introduction and literature review. Literature review also consists of adoption and use of smart devices in Korea, and theoretical review include the technology acceptance model and the prior research findings and theoretical frameworks for analysis and research questions and hypotheses, and then the empirical method to solve it, and the results and conclusion. Go to the next page, and I show you the abstract, the rough frame of this study. So this study proposed and analyzed the modified TAM technology acceptance model in order to explore determining factors for acceptance of smart devices in Korea. As you get to know the specific framework and the research model, and then you naturally get to know the specific factors and the elements of the model. So I just show roughly the elements of the model. The method is a survey method. Was conducted using a sample of 691 respondents. Also, I used the path analysis in order to linear relations among many complicated independent variables and the moderating variables and dependent variables. Also, in the result, I'll show you the three beforehand in order to understand my study, the findings, and the process and findings. So first, the enjoyment is the main, one of the main variables of the model. Enjoyment was positively related to all the TAM variables and all the acceptance variables. Second, social pressure was positively associated with all 10 variables and further acceptance intention. And income has a positive relationship with the degree of acceptance. And 10 variables originally proposed by Davis in 1980s, as you see in the literature review. So then all the 10 variables, mostly the two important variables, usefulness and ease of use, was still considered in this time to be essential in the model. Conclusion suggests that practitioners and marketers need to emphasize enjoyable traits and social pressure messages to increase the new device acceptance level. In addition, more possible external variables need to be developed and used for future relevant studies. And go to next page. Introduction. There are so many background and some current status of smart devices in the world and South Korea. The main focus was given to smartphone, tablet PC, smart TV, and smart speaker, and IoT-based wearables. So these smartphones are the representative, but other, the other devices growing so quickly and spread to our market, and we need to focus on how people accept or focus on the to get the device or purchase intention, their intention to purchase. So and so on, we need to explore that mechanism and the process or factors to final decision or to accept actual accept. So these are the diverse things of the invented during the fourth industrial revolution period era. Then it is important to look at how these devices are spread to society for by what types of factors of users naturally have, or the individual users and the characteristics, traits. So assuming that the acceptance and uses of the smart media devices mainly depend on the individual consumers' considerations, choices, decision to purchase or adopt. So in studying the phenomena regarding the changes in contemporary media environments, it's necessary not only to understand the present situation, but also to analyze the relationship between traits of consumers and their actual behavior of acceptance of new devices. There have been a large number of theoretical attempts to explore relationships like this, the diffusion of innovation, and adoption theories, and the new technology acceptance model, something like that. One of the most relevant among them was the theoretically and explanatory most contributing to the study was the technology acceptance model proposed by Davis in the mid-1980s to theorize the acceptance and usage behavior of computer technology in workplaces originally. So this study tries to empirically analyze factors and drivers in the process of smart device acceptance. More specifically, the study explores the relationship between user characteristics suggested or testified many times in the previous studies, and the user's past, present, and future smart device acceptance. The relationship between this thing and this thing. And this is the main purpose of this paper. Yeah, go to next page. Now in Korea, Korea is the 11th largest big economy and the most advanced country in terms of technology. It's known for the fast internet speed and the latest infrastructures. This caused rapid growth and high degree of mobile smart device penetration in Korea. This year, nearly 100% Korean people who are below 60 years old and already adopted using smartphones, and 80% of them those who are 60 or above adopted smartphone. And also table teaches penetration is very fast, much slower than smartphone. However, they spread fast during the COVID-19 pandemic period. We are facing the demand of 4K and 8K video quality and large size of screens and some other, the video quality of technology and high definition content, web surf on TV, they're increasing very quickly. So the Korean people who like to adopt or accept anything the other people already have, then Korean, the nature of Korean people, they usually participated in the, what they didn't have, don't have. However, most others have that, then they strongly push into some things to get it actually. So the result of it shows like this. The wearable technology market also grown for the recent 10 years. It's a triple-digit % growth in few occasional decrease as of 2021. Korean wearable market stand now for the smartwatches and wireless earphones. This is representative, and their penetration rate is over 10%, over 40%. The other thing to look at the theoretical review is the technology acceptance model. We call it TAM. And as I described about this model, beforehand in abstract in introduction, then I skip these things. However, we need to look at the theoretical model for the most recently devised framework. Then with external variables and like the perceived usefulness and perceived ease of use. I'm sorry. And it goes to behavioral intention. The main original element for this theoretical model is usefulness and ease of use. It's since 1980s, Davis proposed these things, and actual use. So you want to look at this thing and carefully, modify for the present, the object for study, the smart devices. Also, prior research findings show that some important factors of the TAM, for example, perceived usefulness, ease of use, enjoyment, and social pressure. These are very significant positive factors for adoption behaviors. Also, adoption behaviors include mostly earliness, how early they adopt, how many, and how diverse their device already adopted, and their strengths of intention to accept or adopt it. In the early stage of smartphone diffusion, it's a very representative case for Korean market that Korean people like to adopt new gadgets and a new device very quickly. So the main thing is testing, like including the main moderating variables and the external variables, including that are all constitute the independent variables. Another application study about the smart TV also also proved that perceived enjoyment and social pressure and personal functional traits and some perceived usefulness is of use. That's very significant variables, independent variables or factors. Plus income, age, social cycles, characteristics, also functionality, significantly affected acceptance and intention for future purchase of smart TV. And in terms of tablet PC acceptance process, it's very similar. However, not many studies compared to the previous two smart devices undertaken. However, the results show that the lower table PC price contributes to the table PC diffusion. It's related to maybe income. And the high levels of social network penetration income have the initial acceptance aspect of the tablet PC. The other remaining smart types of smart device include smart glasses. There's so many studies about smart glasses acceptance, such as Mi Band wearables and the Google Glass. And one representative study, showed that after the relationship between 7 factors and intention to use wearable devices, mainly based on the TAM framework, and the conclusion and the result, main result include among 7 factors, perceived usefulness and self-efficacy proved significant predictors for use intention of wearable devices. These are the rough stated theoretical review focusing on the prior research findings. And let's move to my main core framework that was modified from the original TAM model slightly, and then I tried to find main factors deciding degree of acceptance of smart devices and further acceptance intention of devices. So I set up the external variables, enjoyment, income, and social pressure, and the moderating variables or core element at the time, which I just remained that without modifying anything. Then it's usefulness and ease of use. And this is the main framework for this the present study. Then go to the questions and hypothesis. And there's so many, 3 questions, 3 research questions about external variables and the moderating variables moderating variables, in other words, the time variables here, like this time variable. So I just wanted to look at the specific or the individual causal relations among these all variables. The set of hypothesis one is enjoyment, income, social pressure. The effect of them on perceived usefulness, perceived is of use. And then the second set of hypotheses include enjoyment, income, and social pressure. Their impact on the degree of acceptance and the product acceptance intention. These are the main dependent variable or result or actual acceptance behavioral thing. And this question 3 is about time variables, the effect, perceived usefulness, ease of use, their effect on the degree of acceptance of the product acceptance intention. Then I just take the survey data collection and the path analysis. So I made these sentences, statements, or questions for corresponding to each variable, time variable, external variable, and acceptance variable. I made a few operationalized the Likert scale questions. And the reliability coefficient, the Cronbach alpha, is like this over 0.7. So they are very correlated, or they're intercorrelated so strongly, and I can make it. I can make these two or three questions or scale measurement into one single variable. This is the index size. It's possible enough. This reliability coefficient. The next thing is correlation metrics and discriminant validity in order for discerning each variable different from other variables. There are differences in order to make sure that these variables independent from each other. So this number, look at this number, and then first this number is higher than all the other numbers. Then it's useful. It's valid. The validity. Discriminant validity is high enough. On this case too, also it's the same thing. The other numbers are lower than this. This number, this number, lower. Then this is also valid. Ease of use variables discriminant from each other, from other variables. In the same way, these are higher enough than other scores. So these are is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 variables used for this study is suitable or valid for path analysis. The structural equation model. And then you can see the specific result for hypothesis testing. So as you use so the hypothesis of this study already, and then these are all the result for that analysis. The hypothesis 1, 2 set, 3 sets, and most hypotheses were spotted, except very few exceptions. All the others are spotted significantly. So this study has many supporting the previous theoretical model and some prior study that resemble to prior study. Then you can make some think more about this result that then it's more specific things drawn for your convenience in order to find significant relationship between between each pair of variables. So except there is a small number of pairs, mostly these most hypotheses were supported, and just consult this thing, refer this thing in order to find specific things more easily. So this is the final thing to consider as the main result and the main conclusion for this study. Then let me show that the core point of this. First, the greater levels of perceived enjoyment from smart devices and of perceived social pressure of accepting them directly led to the respondent to having higher perceptions of usefulness and ease of use. These two are impacting this significantly. And the enjoyment and the social pressure also led the respondent to the higher degrees of acceptance, behavior, and intention to purchase or to accept that. But there are more devices. So this implies that it will be essentially important for the producers and marketers to strengthen enjoyable traits, and to use promoting messages about social pressure to buy smart devices as soon as possible. So considering Korean market and consumers who are willing to accomplish most things other people have achieved, social pressure is very important and critical factors to be considered. And also, secondly, the income. It was introduced to present analysis as most influential demographic factor. also seem to function as just a pure external variable because it has no significant relation with the time variables. Income was directly positively associated with the degree of smart device acceptance, direct, which occurred in the past. However, it did not predict the future possibility or in our intention to purchase the device because those who had higher income tended to purchase most of their favorable devices already. And maybe you can understand this thing. And third, the 10 variables, two types, usefulness and ease of use, was still inevitable predictors of the significant moderating variables in the acceptance of the process of smart devices. This comes from the fact that the ranges of their concepts are very wide in their meaning. So even though the coefficient values of the time values are not higher than the external variables, they were strongly and positively related to enjoyment and social pleasure, and then successfully functioned as a successful moderators in the structural model. Last, the study examined the user's perception of the and attitude toward current smart devices in general. However, the future research need to focus on the examination of specific and individual types of the smart devices. In addition, more external variables along with more specially operationalized time variables, because it is very wide in their meaning. So if operationalized time variables need to be proposed and actually analyzed. Yeah, up until now, I showed my studies main points and some suggestions and the future implications about smart devices in Korea. So still, it remains more empirical studies in addition to this analysis. So thank you very much for your attention. And I'll close this presentation. Yeah, thank you very much.